Right, it was en route to Cleveland, so it was stopping in LaGuardia.
And Frank, if you will, please just stand by because we've just gotten word that Roger Stern is with us again and may have some late news. Roger?
Well, Dean, excuse me, Ralph, the pace has not stopped. The ambulance is still coming in here. They've been doing this all night. I would guess now, I haven't looked at my watch recently, but at least 3 hours since the crash of this plane. And still, the ambulances come in, they come out. 40, maybe more, lining up, being brought in as needed. Several miles away is the wreckage of the plane. The passengers, those who have been accounted for, have been taken to various terminal buildings. They are or mobile units. They're being examined, triaged. Obviously, the most seriously injured were the ones who were removed already. So presumably, the ambulances are now coming in to get those who could wait and now are getting their turn to be taken to a hospital for the kind of treatment they can't get out here in the field. They're keeping track here of all the ambulances, setting them in as needed, and the key here obviously would be not to overload these roads. You may remember that when the '𝗨𝗏𝗵𝗵 plane went down on Long Island, it was several miles away from the main road, and one of the problems was that artery was just clogged with vehicles, and it made it difficult to get people in and out. So they're keeping the ambulances away, calling them in as needed, bringing them in, and the pattern is continuing. So they're obviously still bringing people to hospitals, and presumably those now who are the less seriously injured. Ralph?
Roger, is that one of the reasons why you had reported earlier that some ambulances were actually making pickups, taking passengers to the hospital, and then coming back? Do they want to keep the number of ambulances on the road down? Is that the reason why?
I can't answer that. It may be that there are only a finite number of ambulances, and it just may mean that they don't have enough to take everyone out right away, but I don't know for sure.
My indication from what you're saying, though, is that there may be some long pauses there where you are because it has been quite a while before we get the next confirmation of dead or injured. So I would imagine there are pauses there that may run several minutes, Roger?
Oh, quite definitely. When we first arrived, this road was almost like a parking lot. Ambulance after ambulance after ambulance. It is now pretty much clear. Some ambulances still coming in, lining up. I think we can take a look now. There are 3 EMS ambulances waiting to get in. They will be waved in, presumably, when there are patients, passengers in need of them.
Also, we should make the point that talking about the congestion on the roads, if you do have a family member or a friend coming in and you're going to pick them up at the airport, at LaGuardia Airport, all air flights have been diverted to Kennedy Airport, we're told, or you might want to just call the airline first. It's very important not to congest that
That's right.
area.
That number again is 1-800-428-4322. And we still have Frank 𝗨𝗏𝗔𝗶𝗵 on the line. Frank, are you there? Frank
Yes.
𝗨𝗏𝗔𝗶𝗵, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thanks for waiting for us, Frank. One thing that you did say was that you actually saw the plane break apart. You said you saw a wing come off. Do you recall which side of the plane, which wing came off?
Oh, no, I'm not sure which side of the wing come off. That's what we seen when the plane banged off the ground. We seen the wing come off and the rest of the plane go in the water.
Was it your impression that plane was out of control as it came down the runway?
No, not at all. It was the flame. It looked like it exploded to me.
When you looked at the plane, did you see it before the flame occurred, do you recall?
No, the light is what caught our attention.
So the plane was already in flames when you happened to look at it?
Yes.
And then you saw the plane begin to take off. And then
it was already arising in the air, and then we seen the flame. That's what caught our attention. It banged off the ground, and it went right into the water.
And you saw it break apart?
Yes.
And then you saw a ball of flame?
Well, yes, it was still on fire.
How high did that ball of flame go, Frank?
Oh, I couldn't tell you that. I'm just, I'm just calling it. I mean, I'm
right.
only 200 yards away from where this scene is.
We just want to point out that this is exclusive video obtained by News 4. This is the rescue scene shortly after the plane crashed. The plane crashed about 9:36 tonight. It has been at least 2.5 hours now,
almost, yes.
since, or 3 hours actually, since the plane crashed. Earlier, there was heavy helicopter traffic over Flushing Bay. Apparently, there are still some passengers unaccounted for. 15 have been confirmed dead. A number of people have been taken to area hospitals, many of them burn victims. And this has just been a fight against the elements tonight. It was about 32 degrees.
Right, while we're about that, we have a young woman, I believe, on the phone, 𝗨𝗦 𝗵𝗁. Her parents, we're told, were on this ill-fated plane. 𝗨𝗦, are you there?
Yes, I am.
𝗨𝗦, I won't ask you how you feel. I can certainly imagine how you feel right now. But can you tell me what you have done in an effort to find out where your parents are?
Yes, I've called that 1-800 number for the past 2.5 hours. Nobody has called me back. We've called every local hospital that you've mentioned on the air. Nobody has any information. How can you help me?
Can you tell me? We'll certainly do our best, and we'll have our folks in the control room do whatever they can, 𝗨𝗦, to help you find your parents. Can you tell us where they were coming from, please?
Yes, they were supposed to go from LaGuardia to Cleveland. They were originally scheduled to leave out of the Westchester airport. Those flights had been delayed, so I brought them to LaGuardia for this flight.
And did you see them off?
No, I did not.
𝗨𝗧, when you call the 1-800 number, what's happening there? Is it busy or you're not getting an answer?
They take your name and number and tell you they're going to get back to you, and they haven't. And I've had everybody calling that number, and they haven't gotten back to any of us.
𝗨𝗧, have you had an opportunity to call any of the local hospitals? I just want to mention that Elmhurst has been...
We called Elmhurst, we called St. John's, we've called Booth Memorial, we've called Queens General. None of them will give you any information. They don't have the names, is what they're telling you.
They don't have names yet.
But you've already said 5 people have been admitted to one of the hospitals. Somebody has to have names.
Yes, and I can understand your anguish. We will do our best for you, 𝗨𝗧, to try to get some names. We will try to use our contacts and keep in touch with you. We want to make sure, then, that you please give your phone number to our folks in the control room. Will you do that for me?
Yes, I will do that. Thank you very much.
And I want to assure you that if we get any information that pertains directly to your parents, we will call you immediately.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and it's important to note, too, that USAir is planning some kind of news conference. In a situation like this, very often what happens before they give any official word is they wait for the authorities from the National Transportation Safety Board to arrive from Washington, and then they go ahead with an official statement, and I'm assuming that's what's happening.
Well, I'm afraid that we'll have to countermand that. Surprising as it may be, USAir has just announced that it is not going to hold a news conference. Now, we don't want to prejudge that. We don't know whether that means they're not going to hold it for the next hour or so while they're getting further information, or whether they've just canceled for the night. We obviously would like to know that as soon as possible, but we were told earlier and repeatedly, and we've been telling you folks out there repeatedly, that we were going to go to a news conference by USAir to give more information on this terrible tragedy, and now we're suddenly told that USAir will not hold a press conference. Now, what we have not been told is for how long.
And the confusion of this certainly was highlighted by the telephone call by 𝗨𝗧 𝗵𝗁, whose parents were on this flight. She has been calling the 1-800 number, hasn't been able to get any information.
Well, they take names. They do. Obviously, they're taking the name. They're not just hanging up on her. But she has called the local hospitals, and they're also not giving out names. Now, usually in a situation like this, that is not surprising, but that's certainly not what the relatives want to hear. We'll do our best to get identifications just as soon as we can.
And just to recap, we are continuing our coverage of USAir Flight 405, which crashed at 9:36 tonight at LaGuardia Airport. The latest count is 15 people have been confirmed dead, 27 seriously hurt, many of them burn victims, at least 5 taken to Elmhurst Hospital. 1 victim was taken to Bellevue Hospital with a limb amputation, we're told. Apparently still some passengers unaccounted for. The rescue,
at least 9, right? At
least 9 passengers still unaccounted for from our figures. The rescue effort is going on, as you can see. We will continue our coverage. Stay with us.